Yeah.
Talk to us about the writing process. If you you obviously, I'm sure we've got lots of writers in the room here. So when we're writing for a formatted pitch versus writing on a show, being employed and, we're episodic writers or researchers, etc. Talk about the mindset that is different for format versus general scripting.
Yeah. When you're doing format shows, I personally I have my Excel sheets. I try to see the show in its complete form from opening sequence to end sequence, and I break down my blocks and I give them allocated times. But what I do on the last column is I have a justification for each scene that happens. So if you throw in then the judge throws in a random ingredient, you have a justification. Why do you choose that? And that makes you see the various weak points and of the show. Unfortunately, 499 didn't make it to the pitch, but the presentation, the slides I have are very interesting to see how the show develops and what are the challenges they go through, because there was the supermarket section where these guys had to
choose ingredients
within which was timed, and then they could change the recipes. There was the recipe, actually coming up with a recipe where there's also a bit of the element of human conflict. So there were different stages that actually brings out the true character in the people.
And how much did you have to produce the process? And by that I specifically mean giving the dads the ideas, so that every single week you don't end up with cottage pie. There's something that you guide them. There's tradition. There's the national dish of Kenya that comes into it. There's some flavor and spice.
One thing, it wasn't so difficult because, again, let's look at the caliber of the dads who are there. These are industry leaders. These are people who have come a long way. These are the best in what they do. When they set out to be a musician, for example, this is a guy who has put in so many man hours and training and vocals. They would use the same approach when they come to cook. So they come really prepared, knowing exactly what they want. They've done their research. We had a musician, one of the most popular musicians in Kenya. He cooked on the show, Eric Wainaina, and he came very prepared, and he actually went and chose his recipe from Jamie Oliver, and he did his research, everything, and he could explain why he's doing this, why the garlic, why he's doing it,
And I noticed you had a host there.
Yes.
Talk to us about the process of that. She's female.
Yes.
What was the criteria you were looking at with her function?
Okay. We should also appreciate the fathers, good as in as much as they're good in what they do on a day-to-day basis. Their weakest part is, for some, is being in front of the camera. They're not used to being in front of the camera, let alone cook a shepherd's pie.
Yes.
So the role of the hostess was actually to relax them in that sense. And also, while you're cooking in the kitchen and there's someone who's talking and prompting,
drawing you out of your shell, guiding the process, injecting a bit of fun.
Exactly. And I had a teleprompter with all sorts of questions, sample questions. So we'd change the questions and we'd go up, we'd scroll up and down depending on what the dad is saying and what we want to bring out of him. So if for example, he's talked everything, but he's been very weak on the family aspect and the children aspect, we'll bring that out. The hostess will prompt that out. So he'll talk more about his children. Or if he came and talked everything about me, I'm the best, me, we'd put questions which would maybe steer him into his career or what he's cooking. So
Did your show have any B-roll of them as
Yes.
the CEO, of
Yes.
them as
Yes.
the musician?
Yes,
Yeah.
the show actually starts, the show opens with them talking about themselves, their careers, what it took to get there, and there is B-roll footage. We had dads on the golf course. We had, there was one dad who plays music. We had one of the dads was a chairman of some the rugby, Kenya rugby something. So we had, and there was the rugby sevens going on happening at the same time. So we filmed some of the rugby. We filmed in there.
I have to say, it sounds like a fantastic show, and,
Yes.
and it does sound like it has legs for South Africa and every other market because it's
Yes.
universal.
Yes.
And we're all interested in great dads who can do great things, aren't we? I mean,
Yeah.
they truly are the guide for our children.
Yes, it's the whole thing is to just change the perception that and I've heard it so many times, the kitchen is no place for the man. That's very common back home, and this just changes it, because I remember when I was in college, nearly all of us men would cook.
Yes.
Some of us learned how to cook in first year.